Good evening. After the Pledge of Allegiance, please remain standing for the national anthem. Please welcome Nicole Martingano and Andrew Hong.
Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Andrew. Good evening, Mrs. Ratner, Mrs. Qualshy, members of the Board of Education, special guests, parents, teachers, and friends. It is my pleasure to introduce Ms. Jessica Kelly.
Welcome, Mrs. Ratner, Mrs. Qualshy, members of the Board of Education, Mr. Geiger, Mrs. Acosta, faculty, parents, and friends. Thank you for joining us for this monumental occasion on this very beautiful day. When I first walked through the big doors to Columbia Middle School, I was scared, excited, and a nervous wreck, all at the same time. The way I look at it, middle school was like one of my favorite songs. 6th grade was the first verse. I didn't know any of the words to the song yet or what I was doing. 7th grade was the second verse. I knew some of the words to the song and I was getting to know what I was doing. 8th grade was the chorus, everyone's favorite part of the song. And lastly, high school will be the final verse. The final verse hasn't been written yet, so I can't wait to see how it ends. By moving on to high school, I'm wrapping up what I started years ago here at Columbia Middle School, but I'm also beginning a new adventure at Governor Livingston High School. As I was starting 6th grade, the first verse, I had no idea what to expect. There was a rotating schedule, and I had to figure out the hallways without a teacher leading the front of the line. I was so excited to have cycles, especially life skills. I mean, who doesn't love Mrs. U? When I moved on to 7th grade, the second verse, I knew my way around. I was fully adjusted to Columbia Middle School. At this point, I really wanted to help my school and my peers, so I started to get involved in peer leadership. This was the year that I had Miss Einhorn, and if there was one thing I learned from her class, it was that no matter how hard you worked, you could have always worked harder. By the 8th grade, I was singing the chorus, everyone's favorite part of the song. I wasn't at the bottom of the totem pole anymore. I was at the top. I had some of my favorite teachers in the 8th grade. Mrs. Shalfa, Mr. Clayton, and Miss Dapperfenny were always there to answer all my questions. They even responded to my constant emails, especially Miss Dapperfenny. And then there was Mrs. Corley. I loved sharing awake moments in her class every day. This is when we talked about things that made us think, wow, that's amazing, or I can't believe this is happening. That's so beautiful. Mrs. Corley, is this an awake moment right now? I think so. And now, as I'm finishing up my speech and my time here at Columbia Middle School, I would again like to thank all my teachers for always helping me out and for my wonderful family. I will take all that I have learned here and apply it to everything that I will learn in the future. And as I'm moving on and becoming more independent, I would like to remember what Dr. Seuss once said. You've brains in your head, you've feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself in any direction you choose. You're on your own, and you know what you know. You are the guy who will decide where to go. Congratulations to my fellow peers, and thank you.
That was wonderful, Jessica. Thank you very much. It is my honor to introduce Mrs. Judith Ratner, Superintendent of Schools.
Mr. Geiger, you didn't listen to me last year. I asked you to make me before the students. It's much more challenging when you have to speak after the students give their speeches. Jessica, you did a phenomenal job. Let's give her one more round of applause, please. It is such an honor to be a part of such a significant day in the lives of our students. I remember your first day of kindergarten as you exited the bus and eagerly entered the Early Childhood Center. As I visited your classrooms throughout the years, you were always excited to share what you were learning and enthusiastic about sharing with me that special gift you created or that project you were particularly proud of. As I attended your award ceremony recently, the words that came to mind throughout the years rang true once again. I was so impressed by your enthusiasm and encouragement. You were so excited when someone received an award, you could barely contain yourselves. You would cheer and clap, often jumping off the chair. Your enthusiasm was evident when you high-fived or gave a fist pump to recognize another student or friend who was receiving an award. Your encouragement shone through when the ceremony was over and you were able to congratulate your classmates. As I think back on so many significant aspects of your lives, I feel as though I had a front row seat in a movie theater as I watched the screening of a movie titled Columbia 2013, The Formative Years. Movie theater, movie, not surprising that I would think about popcorn. No viewing is complete without popcorn. Have you ever pondered the miracle of popcorn? It starts out as a tiny little compact kernel with magic trapped inside that, when ignited, bursts to create something marvelously desirable. It's sort of like those tiny little children who entered kindergarten, who have grown into these incredible, magnificent young adults we are celebrating this evening. The magic and excitement inside of them has exploded as they prepare for a new and amazing journey. Students, as you are about to enter high school, remember that although one phase of your life is closing this evening, a new one begins tomorrow. So as you begin production on your next movie, let's call it The Wonder Years High School, I am thrilled about the many possibilities that await you. I am delighted to have that front row seat once again and will enjoy watching as each of you begin to explore, engage, and excel. Please heed the words of John F. Kennedy, who stated, "Explore the stars, conquer the deserts, eradicate disease, tap the ocean depths, and encourage the arts. Don't wait for something big to happen. Start where you are, with what you have, and I am confident that it will lead you into something much greater. Together, all of you need to engage on this incredible journey, this great adventure known as high school. Be sure to take the opportunities that arise and use your individual talents to excel at those opportunities. Emerson shared, "Nothing great is ever achieved without enthusiasm." I know you have the enthusiasm. In my eyes, you are all Academy Award winners in your very own way. Just remember to always do your very best. Enjoy the sheer fun and wonder of these next scenes of your life. Allow yourself to be inspired. Allow yourself to succeed. And dare yourself to excel. On behalf of the Berkeley Heights Public Schools, I wish to each and every student the happiness of a productive life, the respect of others, the love of your family, and continued success. May the future be yours. Mrs. Kirsch, it gives me great pleasure to present the Columbia Middle School class of 2013 and to certify that they have completed all of the requirements for graduation as established by the Berkeley Heights Board of Education.
Thank you, Mrs. Ratner. Students, your family, friends, and teachers have gathered here today to celebrate your accomplishments. I know that their hearts are filled with love and pride as they marvel at all that you've achieved throughout your years in elementary school and at Columbia. And now it is on to high school, and we all look forward to all the good things to come. I want to share with you a verse I ran across many years ago that identifies some of the most important things you're ever going to need to know. In your life, be kind and sensitive. Laugh. Be yourself and share your talents and your humor. Search for people who love you and appreciate you for who you are and encourage you to improve. And finally, don't be satisfied with less than all you can be, for you have greatness within you. On behalf of all of us serving on the Berkeley Heights Board of Education, I want to wish each and every one of you continued success. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mrs. Ratner. Thank you, Mrs. Kirsch. Awarding of diplomas this evening will be assisted by Alyssa Megson and Killian Quinn.
Dr. Christina, would you join us, please? Meryl Schaefer. Christine Drobish. Andrew Rosenthal. Thomas Abusada. Thomas Murray. Brian Rubenstein. Andrew Hong. Nicole Segalini. Dominique Salazar. Antonino Pasalacqua. Rebecca Chen. Alice Gao. Sophia Mangello. Hannah Probst. Timothy Donahue. Gregory Franzo. Joseph Henry. Nora Lee. Nicole Parisi. Jordan Dreisbach. Thomas Bernier. Nia Dawson. Sophie Friedman. Alyssa Hammer. Jessica Hopkins. Elizabeth Morabito. William Sen. Emily Simone. Sarah Beagle. Paige Collins. Catherine Green. Allison Isola. Ashley Cathari. Catherine Lazaro. Sandra Monfrida. Thank you, Dr. Cristiano. Mr. Beiser, would you join us, please? Michael Muscarella. Krithi Sekaran. Hannah Way. Adam Cantor. Jamie Diamond. Nikos Mukhtaris. Zachary Froman. Mairead Higgins. Varun Iyer. Robert Monroy. Ashlyn Shallcross. Amanda Skidmore. Jack O'Halloran. Juliana Zomper. Jacob Zomper. Nolan Dindeal. Vincent Doran. Ryan Glenn. Marie Leung. Nicole McGovern. Alex Radcliffe. Caitlin Ritchell. Erin Savina. Joshua Zweiberg. Matthew Zarelli. Andrew Aguilera. Sebastian Cassou. Daniel Kramer. John Paul Garin. Michael Herman. Michael Tang. Timothy Crick. Jillian Matruder. Andrew Oliveira. Emily Rolay. Dylan Tomchek. Danielle Petrick. Eric Spala. David Yee. Turner Haddad. Andrew Fitzsimmons. Thank you, Mr. Beiser. Mr. Smalley, would you join us, please? Lindsay Gerada. Andrew Del Duca. Gianna Megans. Samantha Fowler. Nathan Ratishev. Lauren Boyd. Amanda Johnson. Douglas Anderson. Timothy Branthover. Leonardo Campagna, Max Cohen, Ria Doria, Anton Kroll, Shane Maurer, Samuel Mustashi, Jenna Rabaska, Lara Romano, Jessica Wood, James Cavallero, Arun Chandru, Alec Nardone, Giancarlo Santoro, Daniel Tomlinson, Brian Biscadoris, Kevin Keegan, Michael Santamaria, Thomas Barbera,
Nant Narang, Christopher Friedlander, Christian Pluchino, Jessica Kelly, Frankie Apollonia, Ashlyn Roth, Alton Grossman, Ian Tumulty, Abigail Tumulty, Jonathan Wong, Alexandria Budka, Riley Jankowski, Megan Place, Jaden McQuibby, Gabriella Hoffman, Nicole Martingano, Natalie Petrick, Alexandra Buckley, Paige Irvin, Emily Kiernan, Samantha Moy, William Pensick, Maya Sternberg. Thank you, Mr. Smalley. Mrs. Walsh, would you join us, please? Megan Cranston, Amanda McElroy, Catherine Geber, Alexander Hansen, Alina Lamb, Christine Pacheco, Caitlin Sergio, Caitlin Tomich, Jake Buckholes, Devin Bonrock, Heidi Hossinger, Michael Kingsley, Maya LaSalle, Jared Mandiel, Ian McLean, Elena Schwartz, Jake Smith, Alice Yu, Katie Devonick, Ryan Ewald, Michael Fogarty, Trent Hartwig,
Garrett Horwath, Rebecca Padovano, Taylor Pitt, Shannon Siska, Amanda C., Marcella Umana, Austin Alfaro, Julia Simprola, Catherine Donfield, Declan Feely, Peter Ellis, Abigail Long, Catherine Padini, James Raymond, Mira Savage, Ariana Salfero, Isabella Wimette, Kevin Zhang. Thank you, Ms. Walsh. Mr. Sincaglia, would you please join us? No, it's Daniel Barrow. Who's next? Daniel Baroff, Louis Cantor, Madeline Forrester, Nicholas Grimes, CJ Happ, Christopher Jakubak, Abigail Kepner, Alice Lee, Bryant Cardona, William Kuzmano, Alexander Frolov, Sienna Coolez, Joshua Mirabella, Kate O'Donnell, Amanda Quinn, Sean Savage, Jack Sullivan, Austin Wang, Mr. Who? Thank you. Will Mr. Reinstein please join us? Austin Wang, Mark Beltz, Ryan Butkus, Jonathan Carlo, Pamela Cray, Samuel Gordon, Austin Liu, Patrick McNamara, Christian Rinaldi, Olivia Roeder, Alexia Alesh, Jason Colden, Michael Kerr, Eric Nieves, Marvin Steller, Jace Tweeten, Thomas Greenwald, Thomas Payton, Benjamin Collins, Keith Dinkle, Christopher Batone, Sean Hannaford, Evan Wallace.
Alyssa Megson.
Killian Quinn,
Very nicely done, students. Please stand and be recognized once more. Please welcome Mr. Scott McKinney, Principal of Governor Livingston High School.
Good evening. As principal of Governor Livingston High School, let me please be the first to congratulate our 8th grade graduates of Berkeley Heights on all that you've accomplished. You have made your parents and your teachers very proud. I'd also like to welcome the class of 2017 to Highlander Country. We can't wait to see you up on the hill. Have a safe and restful summer, and we will see you in September. Congratulations, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. McKinney. Ladies and gentlemen, the Columbia Middle School Strings Ensemble and Commencement Chorus.
One, two, three, one, two,
Thank you, students. That was wonderful. Ms. Setnary, I'm well aware of that song. I grew up listening to that song, and I've never heard it better. Thank you so much. Mr. Grego, I'm renaming that song The Waltz of the Cicadas. Well done. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Ms. Merrill Schaefer.
Hi, everyone. Welcome, Mrs. Ratner, Mrs. Kowalski, members of the Board of Education, Mr. Geiger, Mrs. Acosta, faculty, parents, and friends. Thank you for joining us on this very special day. I stand before you as a young adult, moving on to my next step of education. As I leave middle school, I plan to carry with me the life-changing experiences I have been a part of here at Columbia onto Governor Livingston High School. Those years in middle school often reminded me of a Rubik's Cube. But how do you go from a jumbled up mess to a finished masterpiece? 6th grade was the very beginning of the cube. I had no clue which pattern to follow in order to make progress. I was unfamiliar with the new schedule, lunch, and all of the new people. I remember the daunting fear of losing too many payout dollars hanging over me. I'm sure we've all felt this and think back to it saying to ourselves, how was I ever afraid of losing a fake dollar? We thought that losing our payout dollars would open a door of unimaginable consequences. Well, in reality, it was just teaching us the important lesson of responsibility. Many incredible experiences awaited me in 6th grade. The year moved on and brought to me one of my best friends, who was at the time a new student. We also went on an exciting trip to medieval times. Not only were these events fun, they also strengthened the bond between my friends and me to the point where they couldn't be broken. And finally, towards the end of the year, I found the pattern that catapulted me to the next step of my cube, completing one colorful side of my experience here at Columbia. During the memorable year of 7th grade, I went to see the classic plays of Romeo and Juliet and Edgar Allan Poe, along with going to get lunch at Rockaway Mall. Although the performances were incredible, the best part of those trips were the Cinnabons. You'd be surprised how much a starving 7th grader cherishes the ooey, gooey amazingness of a Cinnabon. That experience polished off the third side of my cube. Along with that, my teachers also made 7th grade a year an awesome experience, especially Mrs. McVeigh. Boy, did she make learning fun. Although the transition from 6th to 7th grade was very difficult, it did a great job in preparing me for the tough year of 8th grade ahead. 8th grade, my final year at Columbia, the completion of my Rubik's Cube was truly the greatest. It was awesome to be the veterans of the school and to be able to help the new 6th graders work on their cubes and their Rubik's Cubes. In 8th grade, I really focused on helping others in peer leadership. I loved the quick trips to the A-Wings to teach the 6th graders something like working together. I also worked hard and managed to make the school basketball team, which brought a number of great experiences like the rough conditioning days I barely made it through. My classes became much more difficult, and there was times where I turned the wrong side of my cube, and I had to figure out a way to reverse what I had done. But eventually, the colors clicked, and I was back on track. As I get older, I realize if you surround yourself with people who love you and make you laugh, you can turn every hard time into a momentous experience. Thank you to my family, my teachers, my classmates, and everyone who helped me along this wonderful journey. Today, not only am I handing my Rubik's Cube onto an incoming 6th grader, I'm also moving on to the brand new cube of Governor Livingston High School, which holds a new set of experiences I'm ready to take head on. Congratulations, class of 2013. Thank you.
Folks, didn't they do a great job? I want to give special thanks to the PTO for providing refreshments today and coordinating much of this event. I'll meet you up at the shack later for a cookie if you have a moment to say hello. Good evening, Mrs. Ratner, Mrs. Qualshi, members of the Board of Education, parents, teachers, and friends. What a great day this has been. Students, can we ask our staff and teachers to stand and be recognized? Teachers, would you please stand? Thank you all. Not a day goes by when I don't think about how lucky we are to have such a talented and dedicated team. Mrs. Acosta, would you please stand? I'd like to thank you for a great first-year partnership. Before you know it, we'll be welcoming back the next class to Columbia Middle School. Thank you very much. Parents, I'd like to share a moment that I observed recently in your child's history class. The students were discussing and researching a plan the President of the United States had for our country. They learned how a president could hound Congress for money in order to take action on an idea that many believe the president should have been more vocal about before the election, but instead wasn't acted on until he had been elected. The students heard from both sides and how they debated over whether or not this idea would have a positive impact the president was hoping for. A plan that would forever change the landscape of our nation. Sounds like something out of yesterday's newspaper, but I'm referring to Lewis and Clark's Corps of Discovery expedition. The president I'm speaking about is Thomas Jefferson. The year is 1803. The students sitting before you know Meriwether Lewis very well. They have spent time with William Clark. They are well versed in what was accomplished during that trek to the unknown and marveled at how two men could have such an impact with such limited tools. But students, let's think back for a moment and recall how this began. Recall what President Jefferson gave to Lewis before he decided to send him and his Corps of Discovery into that unknown. He gave him an education. Jefferson sent Lewis to study medicinal cures under a physician. He gave Lewis an opportunity to study with an astronomer to help him read the sky and find his way home. Lewis read and studied whatever he was given. He consumed the maps and the books that Jefferson held at Monticello. And in the evening hours, Lewis was tutored by Jefferson. Jefferson had a big idea. And I'm sure during those evenings, as Lewis studied the country, Jefferson studied Meriwether Lewis. He had to have been reflective. Have I prepared him enough? Is he ready? Ultimately, of course, he sent them. Lewis later wrote in his journal that he was heading over the hill and beyond the sunset. Many historians agree that the impact of Lewis and Clark would have been long forgotten had it not been for those journals described by one as the reflections of an epic journey of discovery. As I visited your rooms this past month and sat listening to your conversations and saw your good work, I pondered the same question. Were you ready? Is it really time to send them? Interesting word, that word send. Years ago, when I was younger, we would send postcards or send a package. Businesses would send people everywhere, but we would never send a letter. We would always mail the letter. Sending a letter sounded like something we had a choice about. Oh, you're sending me a letter? Which one? Now, of course, it's all about the send, isn't it? Have something to say? Send it to me. Great picture, send it to a friend. Funny picture, send it to multiple friends. Got news from someone else? Send it forward to everyone. Students, it's not just you. We're all guilty of this. Sending has become such an easy thing to do that most of us never know the true origin of some of the messages we receive each day. And that's what I want you to consider prior to me sending you. How easy it is to send these messages that may not even be your own. Things received from even best friends that may not be true or even worth the bandwidth. And we take them as fact, and as quickly as we've read them, off it is sent again. Are you sure? If I were in charge of the internet, I would insist on the send button having an "Are you sure" button. Delete does, You can't delete anything without double checking, but sending, off it goes, whether you've given it any thought or not. It's interesting, students, isn't it, that the social networks of the world want you to double check deleting, and then after saying yes, they admit to you that it's really not gone. But for sending, they don't care if it's an embarrassing photograph or a harmful text. It's shipped off right away. So then, as mature young people, it's up to you. And this is my last time to ask you all. Be reflective. Take charge. Take some time to pause and think before hitting send. Ladies and gentlemen, each year in June, I ask the students if they would take a moment and share a thought to me that I might share with you this evening. And a few did. I'd like to ask at this time for Gregory Franzo and Peter Illis to please stand. Peter wanted his fellow students to hear this, that life is not about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. Greg wrote that the years in Columbia were like steps to a door, and the knowledge learned are keys to opening the door to the other side. Guys, that's pretty heavy stuff, and you are both so right. As you and your fellow classmates take the journey forward, it will change you all. As it was with Lewis and Clark, how you and your classmates adapt and use the tools provided will be the keys to your success. Thank you both for sharing. You may be seated. Folks, these young people will be pioneers. As members of the class of 2017, they will be the first freshmen ever to receive district iPads. Yeah. Graduates, on the date when you hold that device in your hands, your class will be the most connected freshman class ever. It's an awesome time, but with it comes an awesome responsibility. Like your locker at GL, your iPad will be with you for 4 years. And like your locker, it will one day hold all the books you've read, the textbooks you have pondered, images of the time spent there, and messages you have written or received. As it was with the journals of Lewis and Clark, your next 4 years will be reflected in that tablet. Will it show that time has simply gone by viewing viral nonsense, or will you recall the reflection of an epic journey of discovery? You hold the keys to the great unknown. Choose discovery. Discover things you've wondered about. Discover passions you've pondered. Discover yourself. Create yourself. I have great confidence in you. We sit here today on a place that Mr. McKinney just a few minutes ago called the Hill. You have it within you to be the next core of discovery, ready to explore over the hill and beyond the sunset. And I've given this a lot of thought. I'm sure, and I'm sending you. And yes, you are ready. Congratulations. Thank you. Mrs. Ratner, Mr. McKinney, these young people are now in your care. Columbia Middle School's graduating class of 2013.
One, two, one, two.
Thank you.